Hey cats, it's your midsole man, Eddbud here. Today we're looking into the future. What does 2025 hold in store in terms of those brand new super or even hyper running shoes? Have you heard of that term? What does it mean? No idea. Softer foams, mega light uppers. What do some of the top brands have in store for us? Let's check it out. Thanks for joining me on the channel, people. It's always appreciated. Hope you're doing fine. Hit that subscribe button, but also give this video a thumbs up like and drop us a comment to help with the algorithm. Danke schön. Today, taking a look into the future, what we might have in store from some of the top brands over 2025. Many of you know the success that I had in 2024 using the Asics Metaspeed series. I love the Metaspeed Sky Paris. It was an absolute banger, super light, super bouncy, and amongst the best I've ever reviewed on the channel. Certainly got the best performances out of me. So how can Asics possibly top that one moving forward? I mean, they can't really make the heel much higher. I don't see them actually going above that max 40mm, and I mean the rubber was only sparingly applied to the outsole. Well, they are set to launch a new version of that shoe by the looks of it. So this appears to be a new variant of the Metaspeed Sky Paris, V4 you might say. Just what is the difference though here? I think the key stuff is perhaps the plate placement is staying the same in the Sky series. Asics have kept that a little bit closer to the foot rather than actually bending it down in the forefoot area with that sort of scoop that you always see. I think it's a real selling point for me in terms of that model. It creates a huge bounce and spring to the shoe and just very much works for those who are perhaps raising the knee a little bit more and running with a longer sort of bigger stride. There is nothing quite like the feeling of that plate placement for me in a race shoe. You can clearly see on this other image of the new Edge 4 that the plate curves down much closer to the floor in the forefoot area of the shoe, which is often what we see in lots of other carbon plate models out there. Has become a little bit of a cookie cutter thing to see. You've got the plate closer to the heel and then it kind of curves down in the forefoot, so you've got more of that foam kind of underneath the forefoot. Though for me it just feels better when that plate's a little bit closer to the foot. The V4 of the Sky and Edge shoes do seem to have a slightly blockier heel this time out and some type of reinforcements around the arch and lateral side of the foot, perhaps to improve the lockdown there and really ratchet that sort of upper on top of that midsole base unit. I think they're using very specific reinforcements there to try and keep the weight down for racing purposes. The Sky and Edge were superb races, but they did lack durability. That was perhaps the only Achilles heel. But for more premium training, you know, bangers, you just had to treat them very carefully. They were a bit fragile in the foam. Now we got another shoe from Asics here, shrouded in mystery this one. I've seen a few people putting up some Instagram posts about it, but we still don't really quite know what the difference is here between the Metaspeed series and this one. The MZ Type 1 or MS Evo I've seen it called as well. Really quite different, almost like a gravy boat like outline and profile. Tried to record this a few times guys, but that's the best I've managed. I just can't stop laughing. A more rounder heel and more of a rocker type design in the forefoot there, with the curve occurring much earlier than the Metaspeed Sky or Edge models. Hard to tell if it's the same foam as used in those Asics shoes. I have a tingly spider sense like feeling. It could be something different. There are a lot of creases there. That is a sign of a PEBA based foam material. It's got all the hallmark creases there, as you can see. Despite the aesthetic look of this shoe, I have real doubts that Asics have spent so much development time on it only for it to be above 40mm and thus not World Athletics legal. They've experimented with that in other shoes like the Magic Speed and the Super Blast, but for racing I think they're gonna keep it traditional and remain at 40mm for the sample size. So that leads me to the question of, are all of these race shoes? Is the more rocker like option here more of a trainer perhaps for distance, or is it going to be like a higher class premium version of their race category, perhaps a little bit of a higher price tag. Both the Metaspeed Sky Paris and Edge were competitively priced within the race shoe category, so perhaps this one will come in a little bit more expensive, and with that open up the door to sort of new foam types or variants. This shoe has been seen out in the wild on people's feet, so it surely can't be too far away from a release. I do see people referring to some of these new shoes for 2025 as hyper shoes. I think they're called like the Adizero Pro Evo 1 and the Puma Fast RB as hyper shoes, but certainly not sure about that last one. I think they're all merely new takes on existing designs, placing new foams in that are a little bit softer perhaps, trying to limit the weight down even more than they have before, just using very sparing amounts of rubber on the outsole to do that. Rubber seems to be one of those things that's just very, very weighty. I did notice that Puma dropped a new version of that Fast RB. This time it does in fact have laces. It does make me wonder why the original version didn't feature any laces. Clearly they're a staple of shoes for like, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years. To achieve the right level of lockdown in a running shoe, you really do need laces there, or at least some sort of like pulley type system to tailor the experience for people with different foot widths and kind of sizes. Of course it still has that eye-watering price here and the weight as well. I imagine it's still one of the loudest shoes known to man as well. Adidas are clearly set to continue with this 450 quid price tag on the Pro Evo 1. I mean, I haven't bothered to pick that shoe up, but there's already talk of a Pro Evo 2. This time even less rubber than before, as you can see in these Instagram images, and a more aggressive rocker in the forefoot. Probably a lower weight too. I think for most people the Adizero Adios Pro 4 is easily enough and an entry into that sort of elite category, because I mean, who in their right mind is going to buy one pair of Pro Evo 1s, right, or Pro Evo 2s when they release, when you can get two pairs of the Adios Pro 4 for that? I mean, unless of course you've been sent it as like a tech pre-release review pair or something. How can anybody justify that cost? It's impossible to do. I've got no urge to smash out 450 quid and buy the Pro Evo 1, even though they are available in a few places. I mean, I'd rather have another pair of Adios Pro 4s in a cool colourway at half the price. It's also going to last way longer in training than any of those hyper shoes, right? I think the increase or potential increase for regular folks, you know, 99.9% of people, just isn't there. I doubt the energy rods are going to change much, or the upper by the looks of it. It's simply less foam and less rubber for the same money. So if you're good with that, you know, knock yourself out. But yeah, I'm just not going to do that. It's madness. So some interesting shoes on the horizon there. Which ones are you most excited about? Is there something else that I haven't seen or don't know about that you might have spotted? Let us know your opinions and your thoughts down in the comments. Quick musical interlude for you. Notice that Morrissey's doing some touring soon. I haven't dipped into his sort of catalogue over the last 20 years really, for obvious reasons I suppose. One of my favourites though that he produced back in 2004, which is like 21 years ago, I can't quite believe that, is You Are the Quarry. Some really great tunes on this album. Come Back to Camden is possibly one of my favourites here. Really like the vocal delivery, got sort of sentimental style lyrics. There's hints of like certain old Smith songs here too, certainly in terms of the chord progressions and some of the instrumentation that's used on the track. I also like the track Let Me Kiss You. Kind of feels like a bit of a nod to Buddy Holly in terms of some of the vocal stuttering and delivery. Certainly want to check out if you want to look at some of Morrissey's sort of better back catalogue. You Are the Quarry. Thanks for tuning in, people. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. Drop us a comment as well to help with that YouTube algorithm. Or even a super thanks, or become a member too to help support the channel on a more ad hoc basis. My name's Eddbud and I'll be seeing you